We often forget that this planet does not belong just to us. It is also shared by magnificent creatures, and the planet belongs to them as much as it does to us. Hello and welcome, I'm Sadhika Tiwari and you're watching Eco India. And while these creatures have helped us not just survive, but also thrive in our natural environment, we have made their lives living hell. And this episode is all about those people who are trying to change this and help save our biodiversity. Okay, imagine this. It's late June, early July, it's a warm evening, and right as dusk sets in, you see tiny specks of light in the air close to the trees. But nothing to worry, this just means that fireflies have entered the chat. But did you know that fireflies are close to extinction because of habitat loss, pesticides and artificial light? Well, there's a community, a tribal community in the western state of Maharashtra, which is trying to do something to help save these fireflies and work on their conservation.
The Sahyadris are an imposing mountain range in western India. As darkness falls over them, a very special light comes on. The bioluminescent light of the firefly. While the female is flightless and waits on the ground, males fly around lighting up the sky and looking for their perfect mate. One man who is very invested in this phenomenon is Amol Patwardhan, an entomologist.
The fireflies are basically the beetles. Okay, although they are called as flies, they are actually beetles. There are few creatures on this planet who communicate with the light signal. So fireflies are one of them.
This natural phenomenon has turned into a popular tourist attraction. Organized mostly at campsites, firefly festivals have been drawing tourists in hordes. One festival near the tribal village of Purushwadi stands out. It is led entirely by the rural community that organizes expeditions for urban travelers. The village's residents work as local guides who share their experiences with fireflies.
We take the tourists to the spots where they can be seen in abundance. We tell them about what trees they like to sit on, how often they come out, and why they glow in the night.
For this tribal community, firefly tourism has turned into a unique livelihood opportunity right in their backyards. More than 100 families take part in hosting tourists or showing them what rural life is like, including through traditional meals. Each family earns around 3,000 rupees or 33 euros a month. But this is a rare case of locals benefiting, as well as a gentle form of tourism. Normally, firefly festivals in Maharashtra are a cause for concern among wildlifers.
The fireflies festival, the organizers, they attract tourists in the view of taking good photos. They need to be made aware that what you see on the plant is only the male. When you walk near the plant, probably you are killing a female which is walking down below your feet. People should not be allowed to go near that tree, because the communication will be disrupted. Apart from that, the female will get killed. So if they are killed, the next generation will be hampered.
Currently, there are over 20 different firefly festivals organized by various tour operators across Maharashtra, but they differ from this one. Tourists are lured through offers of loud music, parties every night, barbecues and campfires. Sound and light pollution from these activities are among the biggest threats to fireflies, which need darkness to survive. Mumbai-based ecologist Anand Pendharkar has been fighting against this. So far, with help from the Forest Department, he has identified festivals that cause a disturbance and has managed to put a stop to some of their commercial activities.
Unfortunately, I'll be very harsh to say that the tourism operator groups who are taking people for firefly festivals have zero understanding of fireflies. They don't know the species, they give zero information. They just go, they see that, and then they have glittering lights which are put out, and they say it's firefly festival. That is, that's not going really far.
A lack of studies and knowledge about fireflies have already led to a significant decline. Habitat loss due to urban development, pesticides, and vehicular traffic have also contributed. And this has left a big impact on more species than just fireflies.
Fireflies are basically predatory in nature. They are hunters. They're small, but they're very important hunters in the forest. So they control the population of cicadas, they control the population of many other, mayflies and caddisflies and several other insects which can become pest levels. So their role as pest control is very, very large. So any number of drop in the number of fireflies can have a direct impact on the forest.
With their livelihoods closely intertwined with the beetle species, the Purushwadi community tells us they are overcautious about the perils of commercialization. Tourists here are made to toe the line, including with rules like no use of flashlights and no overcrowding.
Some tourists even try to catch the fireflies, but we don't allow them to do that. These fireflies are tiny and fragile and will immediately die if you catch them. We educate the tourists that they are seasonal beetles with a short lifespan, and this beauty of nature is best enjoyed by watching.
The light of the firefly not only symbolizes its own health, but that of the forest, the local community, and the entire ecosystem. With stricter regulations and more conscious tourism, the firefly's light can glow for a long time to come.
How would you feel if someone captured you and put you inside a cage and sold you off against your will? Sounds pretty horrible, right? Well, this is something that is frequently done to exotic and protected animals. Cross-border illegal animal smuggling is a real thing. WWF estimates that the illegal wildlife trade business is a $10 billion business, and it is on the rise.
Her heart is still in the wild, but now Kenya lives in an enclosure in a Spanish animal shelter near Alicante. The female clouded leopard is only 11 months old, but she has suffered greatly. Caregiver Belly Dai is nursing her back to health.
She was confiscated from a private owner who had neglected her. She must have been poorly fed from the start, and she's even gone blind.
The private breeder now has to face the authorities for violating the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. The East Asian clouded leopard is also an endangered species, so Kenya is a rarity. Spain has become a gateway for illegally traded exotic species. The police often find them when inspecting ships arriving in Alicante from the nearby continent of Africa. Maria Pellicer works for a special environmental crime unit. In passenger luggage here and at the airport, she's found birds, snakes, and tortoises.
It's so sad. These ruthless people have no qualms about tearing these animals from their habitat and treating them like toys.
This police video from September 2021 shows the liberation of a female chimpanzee who had been alone in a cage for 5 years. Illegal imports of protected animals are rising. In 2022, smuggling into Spain increased by more than half compared to the previous year.
Organized criminals are often behind it. You need contacts in the country of origin to find the animals, and you need a network in Europe to import them. This is a highly profitable business. A monkey, for example, might cost 5 or 6 euros in Africa, and here it can fetch 2,000 euros or more.
According to the World Wildlife Fund, this global business is worth billions. Sylvia Diaz says the illegal animal trade comes third after drugs and weapons, but its impact is underestimated.
Arms trafficking and drug smuggling are taken more seriously, more effort is put into enforcement. Illegal animal trafficking is just as serious, but it isn't seen as such. It's not pursued and prosecuted as often. That makes these crimes even more lucrative.
But authorities are often overwhelmed in the fight against the exotic animal trade. This macaque, for instance, was probably trafficked from Morocco to Spain, but the smugglers were able to cover their tracks.
The dealers are using new technologies, selling the animals on the internet. They avoid detection because they can hide behind anonymous networks. They even use the dark web.
The authorities don't have enough specialists to investigate properly, and animals are often rescued when it's too late, as with Kenya, the clouded leopard.
She's too used to people, and she's blind. In the wild, she would never be able to deal with her own species. She was raised in captivity, so she's condemned to a life in captivity.
This illegal trade makes Kenya and many other wild animals like her into products that lose their freedom forever.
It is just sad what we do to animals despite everything that they do for us. Well, guess who's a farmer's best friend? Tiny little worms. And if they aren't, they should be. These earthworms can do magic to the fertility and the productivity of the soil, and they're also key to maintaining the biodiversity under the ground.
Don't be scared of earthworms. For our soil to be healthy, earthworms are really necessary. Azagu Diren, a farmer from Kotial village in Aryalur, is making natural fertilizer using these earthworms.
There are a lot of farmers around our village, so I wanted to do something related to agriculture. I also have some land I can source the raw materials from. So I thought I would produce vermicompost. I got this idea from my father, who is also a farmer, and who used to do a lot of vegetable farming. He only used vermicompost for his crops, and it produced good yields. I learned this technique from him.
The technique is very simple. First, you prepare a compost bed and put cow dung on it.
We have to spread it all over and then put banana leaves on top to keep the temperature down. We then water it for 15 days and it becomes soft like a bun, which is how the worms prefer to eat it.
The cover also provides a dark space. Only then do earthworms come up and eat. They digest the organic waste and out comes the fertilizer.
There are two types of earthworms, native ones and African ones. What we use are the African earthworms because the native ones eat only the soil. But the African ones eat more things and give us a better yield. They also multiply very fast.
To boost earthworm reproduction, they also add jaggery to the cow dung and put it in the bed. These are all natural methods to produce the fertilizer.
We typically start getting yields in 45 to 90 days. We take it from the top and sieve it to remove any small rocks or twigs. Then we package it into individual bags of 10, 25 or 50 kilos, weigh them and finally deliver them to our customers.
Azagu Diren has become a successful entrepreneur in Aryalur, a small city in Tamil Nadu. Lately, she has also started teaching women farmers in the area about how to raise earthworms and produce vermicompost to use in their fields. So far, 8 women farmers from the surrounding villages have benefited from her initiative.
2 years ago, when I met Azagu Dhiran at her home, she told me to do vermicomposting since I had some land and resources. When she gets orders from customers, she says she will buy the fertilizer from us and sell it to them. We used to use chemical fertilizers, but now we have switched to vermicompost. Because of that, the groundnuts that we cultivate are tasty and their shoots are also big. And the yields are better.
Most of my orders come from people who have terrace gardens and people who own paddy fields. They mostly live in Bangalore and Chennai, but I also ship to all places in Tamil Nadu.
Since she started her business in 2019, her sales have increased steadily. She sells her fertilizer for half the price of the chemical alternative.
I'm very happy to be doing this business. I have started a small thing and brought it to so many people.
Reviving a simple and traditional method for fertilizing naturally, Azagu Dhiran has not only become an entrepreneur, with her work, she is also protecting the environment.
In the beautiful city of Naples, what once was a thriving business is now in danger. I am talking about red corals. This beautiful species is under threat because of several pressures. Among them are rising sea temperatures, water pollution, several harmful fishing methods, and the biggest of all, illegal trade of red corals. But saving these is extremely crucial.
Naples in southern Italy. For centuries, the region has been famous for corals. Under the shadow of Mount Vesuvius lies Torre del Greco, the unofficial capital of the global coral trade. Local business leaders are upbeat. Red coral jewelry is once again in demand. International fashion and jewelry brands are flocking to Torre del Greco. Local entrepreneur Maria De Simone believes this success is helped by a serious commitment to conservation. She says her business strictly follows environmental protection rules. She's aware of the illegal coral trade, but says that's a different world.
You have a name, you have a story, you have something to defend, and you don't do these things. There are many factories, I mean, also small, which have a name, a respectful name, and I'm sure they have nothing to do with these people.
Eventually, we find a merchant who's willing to discuss the darker side of the coral trade. Mico Cataldo says the atmosphere is something akin to a gold rush. He says although authorities are keeping a closer eye on the problem, smugglers continue finding new routes.
I say something of very, very courageous, because they let pass the goods, the coral, from Spain. And Spain is a very soft country, and so they Spain, France, and then come in Italy. They find another way.
We head to the other side of the Mediterranean Sea. We're in Tabarka, on Tunisia's northern Mediterranean coast. For centuries, everything here revolved around precious coral. But unlike in Italy, business is slow. Local residents tell us 90% of the shops have closed because there's no more coral available.
At some point, there will probably be no more coral left at all. It will die out. The shortage already makes it unaffordable for people here. They have no money. Who can afford top-quality coral jewelry? Maybe artists or business people?
For years, Salah Boujawi worked as a coral diver. He insists he always stuck to the rules, but now he's grown too old for the job and allows other divers to use his boat instead.
There's a lot of illegal fishing going on, and that creates huge problems for us because it destroys our coral stocks and the entire seabed. If 10 kilos of coral are growing on a rock, illegal fishing methods will destroy all the habitat around it. 9 kilos of the coral is lost, and only 1 kilo ends up being caught.
He says the coral is smuggled via Tunisia and sent all over the world. Demand in southern Europe and Asia is especially high. He says it's hard for authorities to verify the coral's origins. The Coast Guard regularly conducts searches of boats at the small port of Tabarka. 3 years ago, they uncovered a network of smugglers from Algeria, Tunisia, and Spain, whose global trade in coral was worth millions of euros.
They often store the goods in the city of Bizerte, or the capital, Tunis. Then they try to export it. The classic route is to Italy. From there, the coral is often transported to destinations as far away as India.
In many Asian countries, the underwater species are said to have health benefits and even supernatural powers. Criminal networks go to great lengths to cash in on the precious corals, which often live hundreds of meters below the surface. Jewelry artisan Murad Arfawi is convinced that all the problems plaguing the coral stem from one thing: humans and their greed.
Just like many other species, our corals are dying because we no longer give them time to grow and develop. We simply don't appreciate the treasures of our oceans anymore.
Back in Torre del Greco, the problems of the North African traders seem far away. Even still, many are realizing if they don't take action to combat the illegal trade, the coral stocks could run out forever.
From the coast of Italy, let's head back to India. You remember that story of the turtle and the rabbit? The turtle won that race, but it was only able to participate in that race in the first place because it wasn't extinct. That's right, sea turtles are on the verge of extinction and us humans are responsible for it. But luckily for us and for our environment, some fishermen are trying to conserve these sea turtles and put them back into the sea where they belong.
These sea turtle hatchlings have a good chance of surviving at sea, thanks in large part to Chennai resident Supraja Dharini and nearly 400 fishermen that run a task force along 700 kilometers of the east coast.
Turtles have been living in this world since the dinosaurs, but in the last 50 years they have come close to extinction. When we first started doing turtle conservation work and we told people about it, they said, why should we save them? Because there's a superstition that says turtles bring bad luck.
But she disregards such notions. Olive ridley turtles are considered vulnerable because they often get caught in fishing gear discarded near the coast.
During nesting season, every female returns to lay eggs on the same beach it hatched on. Every year, 150 to 200 turtles die just between Chennai and the Chengalpet area. So you can calculate how many turtles must have died in the last 20 years since we started working.
The nesting season is from December to April. During this time, members of the task force patrol beaches to collect eggs that turtles have laid. They protect the eggs in fenced areas, and when they hatch, they ensure the baby turtles make it to the ocean, avoiding stray dogs and other predators.
When they came and asked me if I could join the Sea Turtle Protection Unit, I thought, yes, I've never done anything to show my gratitude to the oceans.
Fisherfolk are also being sensitized on how to reduce the harm to turtles by modifying their nets. They collect up discarded nets too, instead of letting them drift into the ocean.
I'm a fisherman. Catching lots of fish has always been my goal. But that happiness can never compare to the happiness of protecting and releasing these sea turtles into the ocean. Because here, we are saving lives.
Together, they have collected almost 60,000 kilograms of ghost nets and don't plan to stop anytime soon.
the best roommate you could imagine would still not do as much as these animals do for us and our planet. We could do with a little more kindness towards them, be a little nicer and learn a little from these lovely people that we met on today's episode, so we can do our bit for our biodiversity. But you let me know, what did you like the most about today's episode and what would you like to see more of? You can email us or reach out to me directly on my Twitter. I will see you next week. Do come back. Until then, take care. Goodbye. Namaskar.